Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our interview with Greg Edwards. Greg is a CEO at Cryprostopper, which provides ransomware protection by automatically detecting and stopping actively running ransomware attacks. They are the world's first digital security product to offer 100% ransomware protection. In addition, Greg also owns an MSP IT business that has been helping businesses recover from the hurricane named Derecho that hit Cedar Rapids, Iowa, where he lives. Greg, thank you for coming to our interview today.
Thanks for having me, Boris.
All right. With your background, I believe that we will have a really thoughtful conversation about cybersecurity, ransomware, and emerging threats. From 3 years of a cyberspace-based new Cold War between global powers to emerging fraud threats to financial services, small business consumers, the issue of cybersecurity is likely to loom large over all technology discussions in this year. Greg, can you tell us a short story about your unique path in the cybersecurity field and what you and your colleagues at Cryprostopper have been up to recently?
Absolutely. So I previously owned an offsite backup and disaster recovery company, and starting in 2012, we started seeing ransomware attacks hitting our offsite backup clients. Actually, between 2012 and 2015, 20% of our offsite backup clients needed full-on recoveries because of ransomware. So I saw that escalation, and that all really started because of the availability of Bitcoin. Bitcoin became available in 2012. And if you look at the rise of ransomware and cybercrime in general, it really all started to escalate at that point when the attackers could get paid completely anonymously. So with Cryprostopper, essentially what I was seeing is that antivirus was not able to stop it. And actually 77% of companies that are hit by ransomware have up-to-date antivirus, and it's still today. And so what we created is a tool that detects and stops ransomware after it's already running. And does it in less than a second. So we use what's called deception technology to deploy bait files throughout a network and then monitor those bait files and then take automated action to kill the ransomware once it's running. So that's the background story of how Cryprostopper was started. It was really out of an absolute need that there wasn't another product in the marketplace that was doing this.
Okay, interesting. Can you tell us, this is actually a very special year, a year of major disruption, mainly related to the global pandemic. And we also have seen many cyber-related incidents. Could you perhaps tell us your thoughts on what has gotten us to this point that every CEO fears ransomware?
Yeah, so I mean, it really all goes back to that availability of cryptocurrency. So the fact that these attackers can now make millions of dollars from their attacks. So actually, Garmin here in the U.S. was hit this past in summer of 2020 and paid a $10 million ransom. So and the average ransom paid is now over $338,000. So they're making, really what's driven this is the ability to make millions and millions of dollars, actually more profitable now than drug trafficking. So a lot of the cyber criminals are former organized crime that used to be involved or likely still are involved in the drug trafficking, but have now added cyber crime to their list of business
Activities, right?
business activities. Yes, yeah,
No, right.
yeah.
You interesting because you said in your website that you guarantee 100% kind of protection. How can you guarantee to protect companies against ransomware?
Yeah, so um, our tool, every time it's deployed, is completely random in installation of those deception technology files. So so the attackers can't thumbprint what we're doing. So each installation is unique, just like now almost all malware is unique, and that's why it's getting past so many of the antivirus solutions that we designed our solution to be unique to each installation so that the attackers can't thumbprint it and determine how we're doing what we do.
Mhm. And I remember the times when all software was on premises, and one of the selling points for companies offering this their cloud solution was promise of security and reliable backup services. Now the same companies that moved their software to the cloud hear all the time that they have to buy additional software to make them even more secure in the cloud. And even on top of that, they have to buy some additional, some add-ons for additional layers of the protection.
Y-
What is your opinion on this and why it
Yeah,
happens?
so the biggest thing is the layered security and proper configuration. So I agree with you that, years and years ago when we were disconnected and didn't have the internet, and I've been in the business long enough to remember those days and remember when everything was disconnected and just on individual networks, the risk wasn't nearly what it is today. So now that everything is connected and required to be connected, because you can't operate a business without internet connectivity today, um, that's what's caused it. And the the configuration is the big issue, and then adding that layered security. So I absolutely believe that to secure all of the infrastructure within a business, you've got to have that layered security and you've got to have the proper configuration.
Mhm. Okay. So I believe that nowadays many customers have been doing their cybersecurity with large vendors. Could you please elaborate more on what is your kind of best type of customer and what is your unique point of your solution? And
Yeah,
maybe, yeah, just go.
yeah. So we actually focus on managed service providers that provide their service to small businesses. So small and medium-sized businesses are the
Mhm,
end users of our product, but we distribute that through managed service providers. So those managed service providers, they essentially act as the IT company for, or the IT department for those SMB clients. So companies that are between 25 and 300 employees, which is the bulk of businesses across the world. And these managed service providers become that IT department, and then they're tasked with creating that layered security that gets installed. And Cryprostopper is a part of that layered security.
Interesting. Maybe without dropping the names, just interesting to know what something you or your team have recently achieved that you are really proud of, maybe in how it works in real life, maybe.
Yeah. So, well, a couple of things. Just the fact that we stop ransomware on a very consistent basis. We just had a law firm that we stopped a ransomware attack in that would have devastated and shut down the company, and that's something that really, it's almost a non-event now. So it isn't that big of a deal because nothing really happens, and that's what we want, is boring ransomware. So between that and some of the advancements that we've made with our software are the biggest things that I'm proud of right now.
Oh, great. So I would like to hear your kind of personal opinion. What is one commonly held belief as it relates to cybersecurity and especially ransomware in particular that you are strongly or even passionately disagree with?
So there's no the fact that there's no one silver bullet to stop ransomware. So I know that even owning CryptoStopper and owning a product that stops ransomware, it still takes a full layered defense, because there are other problems, other cybersecurity crimes that can happen and devastate businesses too. So it's the fact that every business needs a fully layered security solution and needs to understand what that is. So CEOs and boards need to educate themselves and understand what their IT department or what their managed services business is doing for them. They don't need to become cybersecurity experts, but they need to make sure that they understand that what's being done and what that layered security on their network looks like.
Mhm. Okay, so for example, take life of one risk manager. Is there one thing that the risk manager should start doing right now that they are not doing currently? What would it be?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm making the assumption that they're all doing this, but really looking at the individual business units within the company and where are those business units driving their revenue from and how is technology affecting that. So if any one piece of the technology is taken down, whether it be by ransomware or some other attack, or the data is breached and exfiltrated, what is that risk to the business? And I think that today cybersecurity is a bigger risk than almost, and it's certainly a more prevalent risk than any other kind of disaster. It certainly became more prevalent in my offsite backup and disaster recovery company that I previously owned. We were doing more recoveries because of cyber attack than natural disasters and hardware failures and employee mishaps. Ransomware was the cybercrime was more prevalent than all other things combined.
Mhm. And maybe another way around the question: what should these people or actually risk managers should stop doing right now that they are doing currently to understand your kind of?
Yeah, well, so I mean, I think just looking at insurance as
Mhm.
fixing the problem, because that
Ah, yeah, yeah,
that does not fix the problem
exactly.
of cybercrime. It helps and helps to mitigate it, but it doesn't fix the problem.
Yeah, because there are a lot of cyber securities that you can buy, but what you really get is just
Yeah, well, and the thing about cyber liability insurance is that you
oh,
really have to understand and look at the policy. And so, from a risk manager standpoint, they need to understand what the different kinds of cybercrime are that can affect them, and then what are the most prevalent, and what is the cyber liability policy that they're purchasing. What are the individual limits within that policy, and making sure that it's broad enough coverage that there aren't going to be exclusions.
mhm. You also have been helping your community at Cedar Rapids, Iowa, to recover from the land hurricane derecho that happened
Y-
last summer. Could you please elaborate more on this topic?
y- Yeah, and from a risk management standpoint, this was something that even myself being in the disaster recovery business was something that I um, did not look at as a potential risk for our area. So we're in Iowa, which is right in the middle of the US. And we don't have hurricanes here. I mean, there's hurricanes along the coasts, and I've helped companies prepare for hurricane season and what they need to do to be able to relocate and run their business somewhere else, but have never had to do that here in the Midwest in Iowa. And this land hurricane that hit is called a derecho. Uh, Basically was hurricane speed winds, so 110 mile an hour sustained winds across about a 40-mile swath. And it directly hit Cedar Rapids, Iowa, which is a community that I live in, and took power out for 97% of the residents, myself included. And I was without power for 6 days, and lots of the community was out without power for 2 weeks. And so the thing that companies had prepared for here was, if their building had a fire or some other type of disaster, that they could go and work from home, recover
Uh-huh.
to the cloud, or utilize their cloud services and work from home. Well, that wasn't an option because no one had power. And so for myself, being in the industry, and I was pretty well prepared, and within about 2 hours had my generator up and running and was back online and was able to work. And we're completely cloud based, so really wasn't a problem for me. But I helped lots of other businesses figure out how they could get their employees back up and running. And really what it ended up being was lots of people going and working from hotels, which during a pandemic was not the easiest thing either. So it was devastating in the disruption to businesses. And so from a risk management standpoint, something that I've reevaluated and looked at, okay, what happens if an event like that happens again? Because there's other things that could take power out for an extended period of time in a large area.
Wow. Interesting. So maybe as an entrepreneur to entrepreneur, you have been a long time entrepreneur. I've been also 10 years or something with risk management, different companies. And what is the most important lesson you have learned through your years of entrepreneurship?
For me, it's really been being transparent and honest with my employees. That's something that I feel like companies and CEOs have not done in the past. And as we progress forward, and the new generation of employees that are coming on board, they do not respond well to just do your job.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have to be, as CEOs, transparent across the company. And what I mean by that is that as the CEO, that I'm available, and that all of the other managers in the company are available and transparent in everything that we do.
Fantastic. Maybe last question. Yeah, with regards to if I missed some question that you would like to kind of add to interview.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think that the really looking at what the biggest risks that I see for business today and what risk managers need to be thinking about is everything that you've thought about in the past, and then add cybercrime to that, and understanding what are the most prevalent and most damaging risks to a business, and how does that affect them. So right now, business email compromise is the most prevalent, with ransomware being number two. And so really understanding how those first two top things from a risk management standpoint can affect the businesses that you're working with, and what would that devastation within the company look like, and how do you mitigate that?
Fantastic. Thank you, Greg, and for talking with me today. And I wish you great success, and further with your company, and private with your community that you helped. And I hope we can come back in a few months and see your progress with
Yeah.
your company.
Yeah, we've actually been making lots and lots of progress from the derecho. As a community, we're pretty well recovered from that, and as a company with Cryprostopper, we're seeing explosive growth already in 2021. So
Fantastic.
thanks for having me on today.
Thank you.